Oh, and by the way, Boehner Bronco Buster?
Yeah.
Where the hell did that come from?
Improv.
Oh, it's wonderful.
I love professional wrestling. You love professional wrestling. But why do we love professional wrestling? Well, I'm sure if you ask 10 different people, you'll get 10 different answers. I grew up watching it with my dad. I like going to shows and getting drunk. I like the storylines. We all have different reasons for loving this stupid form of entertainment. But the point is, we love it. I personally have a few different answers. Yes, I like going to shows and getting drunk. Yes, I like the storylines. And yes, I grew up watching wrestling. But I also stopped watching wrestling. We've all been there. You hit a certain age and wrestling just isn't cool anymore. Now that's not really why I stopped watching. It's not that I was, ashamed of it. Well, for the most part. But I just had other interests. I played football. I got into MMA. I became obsessed with movies. Wrestling was no longer a part of my life. Until it was again. In 2021, I started watching wrestling again. No reason really other than I was just bored. The pandemic was kicking my ass, and I heard it was WrestleMania season, so I thought, what the hell? I downloaded Peacock, grabbed a drink, and kicked my feet back. What the fuck? The show basically came and went for the most part. It was fine. Bianca Belair vs. Sasha Banks was cool, but I didn't even really appreciate it until months, maybe even years later. The point is, this was the start of me just dipping my toes back into the world of wrestling. Time passed. I went from watching just pay-per-views to tuning into Raw and SmackDown, and then I started watching AEW. But I didn't just start watching. I fell in love. It's weird because wrestling hadn't changed since the last time I watched it, Storylines were still goofy, characters were still larger than life, and the athleticism was still otherworldly. No, the wrestling didn't change. I had changed, and I had a newfound appreciation for professional wrestling. To explain my love for wrestling, we have to look at my other interests. I love sports, football, MMA, basketball. I love film, La La Land, Whiplash, Rango. In my eyes, professional wrestling is the epitome of these two loves. And I know what you're thinking. What correlation could La La Land possibly have with professional wrestling? Well,
life is gonna be wee-wah-wee.
That was mostly a joke, but really, let's take a deeper look at this connection. Passionate performances that can bring you to tears, heroes who make you want to believe, villains who make you hate, a level of suspension of disbelief, the spectacle of presentation, twists that will have you on the edge of your seat, storytelling. Now, let's talk about Rango. Rango is the story of a by all means ordinary chameleon. He is ridiculed, made fun of, and looked down upon. He wants nothing more than to be a hero. Maybe not even a hero, just to be something, to prove that he can be a hero. Rango finds himself in the city of dirt. He's not supposed to be there. He doesn't belong there, and everyone knows it. Hell, even he knows it. Rango doesn't look like a hero. He doesn't look like the cowboys who have stories and legend told about them. But none of that matters. Rango has something that makes the people of dirt believe in him. Something that makes the people of dirt rally behind him. This isn't an ordinary chameleon, he's one of us. The people of dirt believe in Rango, and they believe he can stop the mayor and Rattlesnake Jake. It is this very belief that ultimately leads Rango to doing just that. He's a hero. I love this shit. Professional wrestling is if every football game saw a 20-point comeback. Professional wrestling is if every UFC fight saw the underdog knock out the reigning champion in round 5. Professional wrestling is if every basketball game was Game 7 with the championship, with legacies, and with everything on the line. Now look, if you're watching this video, I'm going to assume you watch wrestling, and you know that what I just said, it's not always true. Every Monday Night Raw is not the Super Bowl, and every AEW Rampage is not the NBA Finals. In fact, most of the time, it's more like a Week 6 Panthers vs. Commanders game. But that's not entirely the point.
Please, arrive at the point.
The point is, the Super Bowl, it's not always a great game. The NBA Finals is sometimes a boring sweep. Wrestling gets to choose when it's great. When wrestling is on the grandest stage, when Triple H and Tony Khan choose to send out Cody Rhodes, Will Ospreay, Rhea Ripley, and MJF, it is guaranteed to be great. When wrestling is good, it combines the storytelling of film with the athleticism and brutality of sports. You know, these wrestlers, they're not just athletes. They are storytellers, actors, and artists. As storytellers, these performers, they can tell whatever story they want. This is another thing I love about professional wrestling, because it's not just one thing. A lot of people love to complain about wrestling. I honestly think some people love to complain about wrestling more than they love to watch it. A common complaint I see is that this is not wrestling. People call Will Ospreay matches gymnastics. Not only is this wrong, it wouldn't even be a bad thing if it were right. Gymnastics is 100% a part of wrestling, and that's part of what makes it so damn entertaining. Second of all, let's say Will Ospreay does go out there and he decides to do an entire gymnastics routine. Let's say a wrestler pulls out a fake gun on his opponent. Let's say two of the best in the world, they go in the middle of the ring and they have an arm wrestling match. Guess what? That is professional wrestling. You want to know why? Because professional wrestling is whatever the wrestlers in the ring want it to be. I've died laughing watching wrestling. I've cried. My jaw has been on the floor in awe. Yes, I've loved wrestling, but I've also hated it. I've hated it when I'm supposed to, and I've hated it when I'm not. I've been bored to death by wrestling. I've watched wrestling that has made me never want to watch wrestling again, but I don't. Because I love professional wrestling.
What do you love about music? To begin with, everything.
Alright, that's the video. This is just a video that I've wanted to make for years pretty much, and it's something that I've been kind of trying to articulate for a while now, but I could just never really put it into words. You know, I've written the script for this video like 20 times, and I've never really been happy with it. Even now, I'm not super happy with it, but I figured if I don't make it now, I probably never would, you know? So let me know what you guys think. What do you love about wrestling? What do you hate about wrestling? You know, let me know.
It only takes one bullet.
You ain't got the nerve.
Try me.